Hello everybody. Well, this video is going to be about that little small woven pocketbook change purse that I showed you from the Spin-Off magazine. Remember this? This is the first issue I had. Here's a picture of those little pocketbooks. They are so cute. Aren't they just great? These are done with hand spun. And I don't know if I can look and see if I've got hand spun anywhere I could use. Maybe I can. I've got plenty of yarn. I'm doing this because I'm taking a break from some painting I've been doing all morning. I'm doing a commission of, this is partially finished. The lighthouse isn't done and the house isn't done. This is the Cape Lookout lighthouse that's somewhat near us. And I'm doing two practice runs before I do the finished commission. And this is the second practice run. This is a 9x12. I'll also sell it, but it's just to help me work on some different things, especially the clouds. Clouds are, I find them hard. So I'm going to put up my paints and I'm going to work on this weaving. And I was toying with using my tapestry loom for this, but when I read the directions more carefully in the Spin-Off magazine, they do a seamless side. They actually weave it, fold it up into a pouch, and in order to do that you have to have a loom that will fold, not one that's made out of wood. And so I am going to use a little cardboard loom that you fold in half. Now they recommended, what did they say? Cardboard from the back of a tablet, like a painting tablet, is very good. You don't want to use corrugated cardboard, anything that's so thick that you can't fold it, but it needs to be good and sturdy. Now I had a calendar, this is an old calendar, and so I cut out part of the back of it. And now I've got enough from there to do a couple more. So what you do is you cut out a piece of cardboard 5 inches by 8 inches. And then you have to write top on the top or else you might forget. And I did that because I'm just exactly the kind of person that would mess that up. And then you draw a little line up here, 1/4 of an inch from the top, and a little line here, 1/4 inch from the bottom. You also draw a line 3 inches from the bottom. That's where you're going to fold it. And one handy trick for folding cardboard, if you have a hard time getting it to fold straight because it's so thick, is just put a ruler there and fold it against the ruler and it'll do a better job. Now, up here, you make a little snip about 1/8 of an inch in, and you draw a little line 1/8 of an inch in, and then you draw 21 more lines up here. And then on the other end, you do the same thing. You do a little mark here, and you do 22 up here. So you have a different number on each side. That'll help you get your warp in there correctly. And then you go back with little scissors and just cut those marks. So you have all these little snippy places up there. See the snippy places? And then you also need a little snip right here on the side of this. And so now I think it is time to put my warp on here. And I'll be doing that next. I'm letting my painting dry. I also tried to spin some more. Got paintbrushes everywhere. See, got water, paint water. I was also spinning. This is the end of one of the Malabrigo noobs, and I was trying to spin, but I had Lucy the kitten on my lap, and she's so sweet. But even when she's snoozing on my lap, my brain is like she's there. I have to kind of navigate around her, and it makes it difficult to concentrate. I can't do things that require a lot of concentration, like painting or even spinning from a piece of roving like that, where you have to work with it and you have to draw it out as you go. That didn't work well, so I'm going to do something easier. So that's why I'm doing this little woven, what do they call it? Weaving small pouches. This is a small pouch, a small woven pouch. All right, so let's look at some yarn and see if I can find out what I want to use. Okay, now we're going to look at how to warp this tiny little cardboard loom. It's rather interesting, and I hope I'm doing it the right way. Let's look. Okay, first the instructions say to use crochet thread, and I had to go hunt for my crochet thread. You can find this kind of stuff at the thrift store for a song because people buy it and then they don't want it. And I just decided to start with white. And you need to leave a nice long tail here and run your yarn up to this first slit. I'm starting on the right hand side. You can start whichever side you like. You run it up there, run it around the back, and then you're supposed to hold the loom like this as you weave it. You're going to keep it folded up. Which way should I go? This way, yeah. Keep it folded up. So you run the warp string around here and back up to this first slit. And then you just go around the back of that slit and come straight back out here and go up to this second little slit, then go over to the third and go back around. So you're just doing like this. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. So now this is where I am. I'm going to come around the back. They said to make it tight enough that the yarn doesn't slip off out of the little slots, but not so tight that it would buckle your loom. Now I'm supposed to be keeping my index finger in here all the time and keep it folded like this, but that's hard to do when you need to use that hand. And I think I might have done some of my slits not quite long enough, deep enough, but so far everything's hanging on. Now there's a picture in this magazine of one of theirs. This is so cute. Let me make sure you can see this. Okay, so there's the picture, and it has a basket, and it says, you could just put all your little scraps of yarn and your little loom and take it with you wherever you want to go, which is true. That would be fun. But when I count the slits at the top of this little loom, it's not the same as the number in mine. This is like 12 slits. So you could do a teeny little loom and a teeny little pouch, and we'll see, I may experiment with that. It'll all depend on how they turn out and on whether they sell. Will they sell at the farmer's market? These would be fun, though, to give as gifts. If I made these for family members, I think they might be appreciated. I have about 3 little zipper pouches in my purse all the time. One of them holds lip gloss and a little tub of hand lotion, and one of them holds something else like hand sanitizer, and I don't know. One of them has eye drops. I'm one of those women who carries just about everything in my purse. Okay, I'm not going to make you watch me do all the rest of this because I am rather awkward at it still. Next time I'll make those slits a little deeper. They're not very deep, but here's how it is so far. Can you see that? Okay, I'll bring you back when I'm done with this stage. Okay, now I got this finished. I think it's fine. I ended up with too many slits on the bottom, maybe not enough on the top. It said when you get to the end, I think you loop your warp string around the top and you bring it through this little slit here and tape it on the inside. What you're looking for is a nice tail on both sides, and I think that these ends are supposed to be on the inside. And then to help you keep it shut, you put a paper clip over here, but you can't let the paper clip interfere with these warp strings. So now the yarns I think I'm going to try to use are ones that were left over from when I made all of those felted slippers. These are little pieces of the various colors I made those slippers out of, and so I'm going to pick some of these. They all seem pretty complimentary, don't they? kind of dark. And I'm going to make this first pouch and see what I think of it. So I'll bring you back when I've read the instructions for that. I know I'm going to need a nice large tapestry needle, and I've got a nice little container that holds my bigger ones and also one that holds my smaller ones. I wonder if I want a smaller one. We'll see. We'll see how it threads among going in and out of these. But the fun thing about this pattern is that you just do it this way. You just go right over top of this fold over here, so it's totally seamless. Okay, you don't have to, there's no sewing up along the sides when you get done. And then when you get up here, then you just do the back. And then we'll be taking this cardboard out at the end. Now, how that works, I don't know. It should be interesting. Somebody came up with this idea. So I'll bring you back in a minute. Let's take a second and look at the early part of this weave. Now, I'm leaving a bit of a tail over here, maybe not as long as they wanted, but I think it's long enough. And so with my little tapestry needle, I've got some of this first. I thought I put the brown on the bottom. Now remember that when you're done, the warp strings will still be here and the weft yarn will be here, but this paper will be gone. Okay, and so this is the bottom of your pouch, and these pieces of weaving need to be pressed down so that they'll meet at the bottom. So you start on this side and you just go under, over, all the way across. Pretty easy to do. And this is why it's important to have a different number of strings on the front than on the back, so that when you go here, if I went under here, then I'm going to want to go over on the first string here. Okay, and the same at the other end. Now I made the mistake of running an extra string for the tail, this tail right here coming through that little slit. I put them both in the same spot up here, but they look like two separate strings down here, so I have to remember to treat them as one. Otherwise, my back and forth will be off, and when I turn this corner, I won't be able to do the opposite motion here. Okay, so make sure you pack it down well. And the other thing, of course, if you're a weaver, you know this, but if you don't weave, you need to remember that if one pass goes one way, the up and the over, under, over, the next pass has to be the opposite. Okay, so my first pass, I went under this string, over this string, under this string. And then on the second pass, I went over this string, under this string, over this string. And then the third pass, I went under this string, over this string, under this string. So I'm going back and forth, and that's what makes it a weave. Otherwise, it won't work. So it just gives you a little bit of it really holds it tight. It's kind of a little knot every time you weave. Now you can still see some of the cardboard in there, so I'm going to keep on pressing this down, both on the front and the back, to try to get this going. But it's kind of fun. It's not real fast. I think this is going to be a pretty good size little pocket. I might try a smaller one next time. This one's a pretty decent size. Okay, so that's it so far. It's so nice out here today. It's cool enough for a shawl. I'm working on my weave. The road noise is loud as ever. That's the one thing about where we live that I would really change if I could, is the amount of road noise. But you can't have everything perfect. I am enjoying my morning coffee. The squirrels are being noisy. I saw one running up the ramp railing yesterday through my studio window, carrying a pecan. So they're getting ready. It's a lovely day. I want to finish this little weave today, and I am getting really close to the top. I've got the instructions here. They say to you need to keep on pressing you're weaving down as you go, of course. You weavers know this. And as you get to the top of the pouch portion, the pouch portion is the bottom portion. As you get to the top of that, it gets tighter and tighter to get your needle in there. I've got some footage here that shows that. And so just stick with it. Keep shoving it down and do fewer overs and unders if you need to. You want to fill that up as much as you can before you stop doing the pouch and move on to just weaving the back flap. I've probably got a couple more rows I can do here on the front. We will see. This is a fun little project to do in your spare time. And because this is yarn that was left over from when I was doing slippers and felting slippers, I think that all of this yarn would felt, and so I might try to get this just to felt, just to get the fibers to bind together. I don't want it to shrink if I work with it, because the cotton warp yarns won't shrink, and so that would be disastrous if I had my weft shrinking in my warp knot. But I wouldn't mind if it if these woolen fibers bonded together a bit. That would be fun. So I might see if I can do that. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, and they talked about this, is that these bottom corners, you'll see it really well over here, that first row tends to slip off of the cardboard, but don't worry about that because the whole thing is going to slip off the cardboard. And they said if the corners really bother you, you can turn the whole thing inside out and have those on the inside, and that'll work fine. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep going, and when I get done with the pouch portion and get really tied up to the top, then I'll bring you back and show you how it's looking. Now it is amazing, just when you think you can't squeeze any more in there, if you pull this down, really pressure weaving down, you can get another row or two, and that's what I've been doing, is just pushing it down. And that's what the instructions say to do, is to make it tight as you can, get as many rows in there. It just makes for a sturdier weave and a sturdier pouch. The other thing I want to mention is this, that when you are making your marks and slits at the beginning, they tell you they're supposed to be 1/4 inch apart, okay? And then they tell you the one on the very end here, and maybe it was supposed to be down here, I don't remember, but they might have been opposites. I don't know if that makes a difference, but the ones on the ends are supposed to be 1/8 of an inch from the edge, okay? And I think that's important, because that means that the distance around here will be 1/4 of an inch from this last warp thread to this one over here. The amount of distance that your weft has to travel from this to this will be 1/4 of an inch if you stick with your 1/8 of an inch measurements on the end. I didn't really do that. You can see I've got a nice little small one here, a nice small one here, and up here, but this one is really big, okay? And so the distance here is going to be quite significant. Anyway, little things that I'll improve next time. I'm going to keep on squashing and weaving up here at the top. And it's not, of course, it's not as hard on the back, but you should also make sure that you press this down as well. They recommend using a comb. I don't find that necessary. I think my fingers work just fine. Okay, I think I'm finally on the last one. I can barely see that little, that next white one I'm supposed to go under. And I think that'll be nice and tight. And so then when I get to the end down here, turn it over, and I'll just go back and forth on the bottom until I make it nice and tight at the top here too. And then we'll see how the cardboard comes off. Hello, Leo. You're an inside cat. Yes, you are. Back inside, because the animals were needing me. And I'm to the top of the back. See, here's the front. Finish that off. And then I just wove back and forth on the back. Now, let me mention this. This is another reason to have your slits on the side be just 1/8 of an inch, nice and close to the edge, because wherever that slit is where that warp shrink is going to run, and that's where your edge is going to be on this flap. This is the flap that's going to go over the front. And if you have it way in, it's going to look funky. But in the photos, all of theirs, the flaps are a little bit narrower than the pouch. Now, this looks like I shouldn't be able to get even one more, and I've found that pressing down with my thumb like this there's Leo, is the best method for beating it down, okay? And getting one more, I should get one more, I might even get two more, and that's a good thing because I'm to the end of this string. And then, oh, well, look who's coming up to keep me company and mess with my yarn. Hello, Lucy. Hi. Isn't she a sweetie and a cutie? She is growing. I've got a little setup for her. I've got 2 boxes. This is her food and water box. And I've got 2, kitchen drying racks, or cookie rack, like you would put cookies on to cooling racks. I've got them on top to keep the other animals out, and a lotion bottle weighing it down, and a little door a little cutout square that only she can get in. And she has wet food and dry food and water. And then I've got another box just like that with her little miniature litter box inside of it, also with a little hole. So if we're gone, you're all, oop, there she goes. You're all taken care of, aren't you? Yeah. Now, see, now when you're squealing at me, you can go take care of yourself. Oh, she's such a doll. She does like to snuggle. All right, so anyway, I'm going to be taking this off of this cardboard loom soon, and then we'll look and see how that goes. Okay. Somebody's settled down a little bit better now. Now, I did finish here, and I put a little loop in the center of this back. What you do is you just come to the middle and you leave a little loop and you go to the end with your weaving, and then when you come back you do a little slip knot around it to secure it and then finish off your weaving. Now this is looking loose because I kind of opened up the pouch and removed my two end warp strings and then used my tapestry needle to pop these off of here. So the top is now loose and the warp strings are all looped around. Well, those aren't quite out of there and I can't do it with one hand. But then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to pop these little warp loops off out of these slits, and then I'm going to gently pull the whole cardboard out of the pouch and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so let's look at this little pouch. It turned out pretty cute. I've given it a good wash in the sink just by hand, just kind of, rubbing it and scrubbing it with a little bit of hand soap. Now, I'm not real pleased with how this turned out here. It's got a loose spot on this side. It's not, yeah, it is centered. It is centered. Anyway, but that will be, this will fix itself as it felts more and kind of sticks together, which it's already doing. Now, let's look at the bottom corners and see what we think if we turn it inside out. It's nice and soft. It's still a little moist, but we won't think about that. See, it is reversible. And so these corners are a little softer. I can poke them out a little more if I want. But I might keep it like that. I like that. Now, because I used white thread, crochet thread, you can still see it up here. Now, if I'd used a different, I do have some other colors, and I may start collecting other colors. I don't mind that, though. And, of course, you can see it in the weave as well. I like the feel of it. It's soft, but sturdy, kind of. Floppy, but, yeah, it's really nice. I'm trying to think of what I could show you. Well, here's a... Well, we already measured it, of course, and we made it, but it's about 4.5 inches across. It'd be good for, well, if as a change purse, it might lose the change, but you could easily put all your credit cards in there, driver's license and stuff like that. I'm going to see what I use it for and see what I think about it, but I may make some more of these. It wasn't super quick, like you could do it in an hour, but interesting how, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I don't like the white showing through like over here and here. It's definitely a trial run. Tell me what you think. Would you make one? Let me go find myself a button, put it on there, call myself done. Thanks for joining me, guys.